Now this video is going to be a bit of a mixture, bit of a project, bit of a how-to, all related to the adhesive lead. Now a lot of people like using this adhesive lead as an alternative to the liquid lead, and I like using it particularly for larger projects, but you can use it in small as well. The lead comes in different sizes. I've got a 9mm one here and a 3mm one here. It also comes in different colours. This is the colour I use most. I think it looks most traditional, but you can also get this sort of brass gold colour as well. Now with the 3mm lead, it normally comes like this, doubled, and you can just pull it apart. If you have trouble pulling it apart, then I'm afraid you're going to have to use a knife or scissors, but normally it will just pull apart. So to demonstrate using the lead, I've come up with this design. It's actually off one of our window patterns, and it's just a small section of it. And as you can see, it's quite bold, no really intricate parts, which is what you want when you're using the lead. I'm going to work on an extra thick film. No reason why you can't work on glass if you want. Just get it the right way around. Absolutely no reason why you can't work on glass, but I'm using this extra thick film as I do a lot. Right, I shall stick that down on there with a little bit of blue tack, making sure it's out of the way. You may see that my printer didn't do the lines at the bottom. I've drawn a bit in, and I know there's a piece to go across there. There we go, that's blue tacked down. Now there's a couple of things really important when you're using this adhesive lead. One is to leave as few loose ends as possible. I'll show you how to minimise that. And the other is to make sure it really is tight onto your work. You don't want the paint seeping underneath. I'm going to use this, which is called a boning tool. Don't worry if you haven't got one, any hard plastic will do, but this is shaped very well for this particular job. Now, bit of lateral thinking. Plan your work out before you start, which bits are going to go under, which bits are going to go over. And I say you want to leave as few loose ends round as possible. Now these bits here I'm going to finish in the circle, and I'll show you what I'll do with these bits here in a second. I get my lead, I'm going to try and separate it into two, hopefully not having to use scissors. Well, that may to start. There we go. Leave that bit on the reel. And I'm going to start off with these bits here. Now it's always useful to have a straight line around in case you want straight long pieces. I'll use it for these. I haven't quite got that as far as I'd like it, so I'm going to come take it off, back again, in this part here. I hope you can see, I'm just going to make sure they don't overlap at all. Now it doesn't matter if we've got a teeny gap there. Because obviously we've got this piece coming down which will cover it. But I want these two to be absolutely flat on the piece with no overlap. Now I'll show you what I mean by making sure it is all absolutely flat and straight. Get my first edge. Making sure that's down before I carry on. Move it up a little bit. Now I've carried on, I've got to make sure that edge is firmly down. It's where these meet where you can get a gap if you're not careful. You can always cut it back later, so don't worry about it being too long. But do worry about making sure it's absolutely tight. Just straighten that bit up. And when you make it tight like this, not only are you giving it a good seal, you're getting this little bobble on your piece, which makes it look sort of leaded. Now this flower is going to be the complicated bit. I'll work out carefully, working my way outwards, which bit is going to go under which. Now if you need a tightish turn, just make sure you're pressing at the same time as you're moving the lead round. If you get the odd kink in it, don't worry, it is lead, it's going to come out with a little bit of pressing. Not 100% sure what to do here. What I'm going to try is getting a little bit of spare, sort of a greasy paper this. I'm just for now put it under there. Get it in the right place. There we go. I'm not going to push that down just yet. Hopefully the reason will, and I haven't made an idiot of myself, but hopefully the reason will come apparent in a little bit. Now I'm really hoping I'll be able to tuck this under this piece which I've kept off the film. So let's see if we can just tuck this under there. Possibly going to be easier said than done. Let's lift it up a little bit. Use my knife. Push it under. I hope you can see what's going on here. There we go. Take that out. Time to smooth all that down. Now you won't always be able to get rid of all the loose ends like that, but if you can, it's a good idea. I'm going to leave the outside top and bottom for now. I don't actually need those for now. There is a reason for that and I'll show you in a bit. But I do need the edges. Now, with the exception of the top and the bottom, that's it all leaded up. But before I paint it, I'm going to go right round it one more time and just make sure all those joints are as sealed as they can be. Well, as you can see, I've got my light board out. I shall put the piece on top of that to paint. Just helps me see a little bit clearer any gaps, etc. Now I've got my paints. Here's red and orange, which I'm going to do in the centre piece. I've got my brush. I'm using a solid one. Don't worry if you haven't got a solid one. I've got my kitchen towel, just in case. I've also got some of these buds, little cotton wool buds on sticks. Now these are very useful if you happen to get a bit of paint right on the lead where you don't want it. You can use these buds to take it off again. So, normal flood fill fast painting technique. All I'm going to do is push it and make sure it gets up to the edge, but not hopefully onto the lead. And so I'm using a little bit of a mixture here, just to give it a bit of variety. Well, I won't make you watch every little bit of this. I'm going to carry on with this colour, let it dry. These bits I shall do green. And this last crossbar I'm going to do yellow. Well, the paint has dried and we're at the last stage now. So, a few quick things. First thing I'm going to do is melt a couple of little holes. I've put some marks in the top. So I'll melt these holes and add a hanger. That's the holes melted. I'll actually add the hanger in a little bit. Next part is to cut off the spare from this side. That's that gone. Now one of the things I mustn't forget is this still has a backing sheet on. So let's take that off now, make it look a bit better. Now to string up the top here. Now I'm going to finally finish the whole thing off with a double length of lead at the top and at the bottom. For extra strength, that is coming around the back. And that is the piece finished. We'll hang that up and show you what it looks like. I do have another one here. Getting a little bit battered now, this one. I must have done that 8 or 9 years ago. And it was in fact done with a flowing water-based paint. You'll notice in this one I built 2 hangers in with just made out of thin wire. That would be more suitable if you were making something like this out of glass, etc. But the whole technique, slightly more complicated design, whole technique's the same. So a little bit more battered now, I'm afraid. Right, hope you've enjoyed this project. Full details, design, etc. available on the website. And if you haven't yet signed up to our YouTube channel, please do so. Alright, happy crafting.